You're kidding me, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you guys?
All right, you want to keep going?
I don't think so. You're done, Jack. You Del Fuegos! You are done! And we want you out of our town now.
And who's we?
All of us.
If 4 people could stand up to a gang of I guess we can too.
But we'll fight you and the children of the corn too. Because the Del Fuegos don't back down. This is our highway. And we're gonna defend our highway.
Wrong, Jack.
Yeah. These posers, these 4 posers right here.
4 guys stand off. 50 and they're the posers. You don't know about it anymore. But I think you all ought to get back on your bikes and go out and ride the highway until you remember what it's all about.
Man, that was like level 12 of Doom.
So there seems to be this thing happening with indie developers where there's an uprising of sorts. And it seems to me that the AAA sector of the industry is getting a little concerned. I found this article on gamedeveloper.com, and I'll get a little bit more into that. I'm not going to read the whole article word for word. I'm just going to go over some key points. But it is really showing on how indie developers are starting to make games just as good, if not better, than what the AAA industry is doing with less budget and less people working on it. Just take Expedition 33, for example, which only had a team of 30 people on it. But the headline on this particular article reads, the deprofessionalization, sorry, it's just such a weird word. The deprofessionalization of video games was on full display at PAX East, and this was written by Bryant Francis. Now, I'm just going to touch on a couple of key points here, like I said. And so he goes on to say, at DICE and GDC this year, I heard talk of a trend in game development that sent a chill down my spine. Deprofessionalization. As A16Z marketing partner Ryan K. Rigney defines it, deprofessionalization is a phenomenon driven by the overperformance of older titles, particularly free-to-play live service game, large studios struggling to drive sales, and the outsized success of some solo developers and small teams. These 3 forces, he argues, will combine to drive career professionals from the traditional professionalized side of the gaming industry. Another key point he also does bring up here is that some of these people will decide to go indie, he continues. Others will leave gaming altogether, and in between, there's a vast spectrum of irregular working arrangements available. Is this trend real? It sure felt so at PAX East 2025. It's no secret that the really bad thing that happened in 2020 led to many game companies decamping from expo floors, retreating to either all online promotion or in-person community meetups structured around intermittent panels. Gone are the days where a chunk of the development team can get one-on-one FaceTime with players. Shifts in supply and demand have simply moved where marketing takes place. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say this just sounds like a whole lot of whining. If you've looked at the state of the AAA industry for the last couple of years, I can't even really tell you what he means by deprofessionalization when they've been the least professional. They are the first ones to attack their fan base anytime they have a difference of opinion. You've seen it all over social media. All these people in charge of these big projects talking down to their audience. Meanwhile, you've got these indie game developers that are listening to feedback from the people who are actually wanting to buy their game, and they're making those changes for the customers because they're actually putting the gamers first. This is not a hard concept. And so really, this is all just one giant coat from them. And then talking about how, you know, it's changing. Things evolve, things change. There doesn't need to be a sense of, okay, so hold on. Let me retract my thoughts here. Yes, if you're going to be a game developer, there should be a sense of professionalism to a certain degree. However, these are video games. You know what I mean? Like you're doing something in a creative medium. You don't need to be all strict about it, for one. And number two, as I said before, they have been the most unprofessional compared to that. I'm sorry that people are going indie, but not sorry, because that's where the developer is going to get more one-on-one with their audience. Yeah, I know. Does it suck that we don't have E3 anymore, and you know we don't get to see these big events where they show all this cool stuff? I mean, I remember back in the day watching that on G4 TV and how that was, you know, that was an exciting moment. That we all gathered around the TV to watch that. However, I can understand why it's gone, because it just went downhill slowly and slowly over time. And now people are going to, you know, YouTubers and streamers and things like that to get their information. At least that's the trend that I'm seeing anyway. And so I just really wanted to talk about this because, as you all know, I'm a big advocate for indie developers. I feel like they are the future of the industry and we need to get as many eyes on them as we possibly can. And quite frankly, they are the ones that listen. You know, as I've said before, I come from a time where all of these so-called AAA studios now, they were indie at one point. I remember seeing these companies grow. Take Capcom and Konami, for example. You know, at one point they were indie, you know, when the original NES came out, and they made great games. And there was passion in those games. You could see it. When you look at those old games, you can see that passion there. But I just wanted to talk about this because to me, this article just felt like one giant whiny fest from someone who doesn't want to see the status quo change. He doesn't. Some of these people are afraid of change, and I can understand that, but this is just the way things are going. Indie developers are getting more and more noticed, and players are starting to vote with their wallets. I mean, we live in an era now where we're about to have $80 games and microtransactions thrown at us every second we get a chance. And that's the other thing too. These indie developers, they're just trying to make great games. Yeah, they want to make a living while they're doing it. But let's not forget either that these AAA studios, let's take Microsoft, for example. Don't forget, at one point, they tossed around the idea of putting ads in your video games. So take that how you want to take it. But I've never seen an indie developer go, oh man, I need to put a whole bunch of ads in my game in so that way I can get a whole bunch of ad revenue. I've never seen too many indie developers say, "Oh, I'm gonna sell some horse armor for like $50 DLC." I've never seen that. Looking at you, Bethesda. Okay, they didn't sell it for $50, but you get my point. But anyway, that's really all I have for this video. I just kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit because I thought it was a little funny that the AAA industry is getting backed into a corner, and they seem to think the only way they're going to get out is by charging more money. And support indie developers. That's really all I can say. You know, they put a lot more passion into their games, and there's an indie game out there for everyone. I guarantee it. There's something out there you will enjoy. So just keep an eye out. And hey, keep an eye on this channel because I'm always going to try to show new games that I can find whenever I can. But all right, now I'm kind of going on another tangent again. So that's really all I have for this video. If you did enjoy this, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.